Welcome back to Cure for the Common Game. Today we're going to be talking about a good old-fashioned creature deck with Tishana, deck number 337. Now, you'll be proud to know I did not go tribal merfolk or shaman. There's no tribe of any kind here. It is just good old-fashioned fun with creatures. Now, our power and toughness is equal number of cards in your hand, which speaks to all of those no maximum hand size cards, of which I have 0 in the deck. Because quite frankly, yeah, she's cool and all, but you know, we pretty much built her for her colors because I looked and I did not have extra copies of all the cool stuff, the towers, the oh yeah, Reliquary Tower. That was in like M19. Think I'm up to 117 packs I've opened between events and boxes and pre-release whatever. Still haven't pulled that uncommon. Anyway, so the beautiful part here is she enters the battlefield, you draw a card for each creature you control. So that got me to, it's like, well, we are obviously going to be creature-centric. It's going to be a very, very creature-heavy deck. So, and she has a really good enter the battlefield. So I wanted to keep replaying her, and that's kind of another reason why I didn't want to put in Vincer's Journal and stuff like that, is because, I mean, she's got the no max hand size just written right on her. So anyway, but you're drawing all the cards when she comes in, so I was really wanting to, like, Blink is not really, I mean, yeah, we got blue, but it ain't like white blue's kind of where the strong point is there. But the big thing, I'm going to call it right now, probably the all-star, the MVP, is Psychosis Crawler is probably going to win more games for me than any other card in the deck. But before we get to the rest let's look at some ramp, Now, I tried to go as much creature-based as I could, but you still got things that'll live through a wrath. A little bit of artifact, man. I got the 3 Simic rocks. I think that's it. And then the Mind Stone. Running 2 searches in Ranger's Path and Sky Shroud Claim. Like I said, we are creature heavy, so the Growing Rights was I don't have that many of this card, but I felt like this is probably where it needed to go. Now, creature ramp or fixing it, of course, we got our good old buddy the Bird, Job. Queer Elves is great for a 2-color deck because it's a dual elf. Secure Tribe Elder, Coiling Oracle, and now the Acolyte. Green is our primary color. Of course, generally any multicolor deck that has green, you're going to have more green mana symbols. You're going to have a more green presence simply because you're using the green to go fetch out the other colored lands. Anyway, so Carrie's Acolyte here is going to really, really produce some mana. Now, Stampeding Wildebeest is an old favorite of mine, and I really love it because during your upkeep, you return a green creature you go to your owner's hand, so you're always going to have that option. I mean, worst comes to worst, it returns itself. That's fine. I mean, well, it's not fine. It's not optimal, but what you're wanting to do is return your commander to your hand and then recast her every turn to try to get, that card engine. And, eventually you're going to draw your Psychosis Crawler. Of course, Kamigawa gave us a almost functional reprint, except for name, of Stampeding Wildebeest. And then in M13, years later, we got a 4/4 version that's a little easier to cast. So, and this is just return a creature. Now, also in the good old-fashioned Kamigawa block, we had a blue version. You return a blue creature. So we have ways now to just, during our upkeep, keep returning a creature. It can be our general. It doesn't have to be our general. It could totally be acidic slime or any of these other creatures that have really awesome comes into play effects. So let's get to that. Acidic slime, Mold Drifter. I don't know that Mold Drifter needs to be in there because here again, this may be one of those combos I'm not responsible enough to play because I will draw them cards. I will probably deck myself. There is no Lab Man in here. Stomp Howler, because, repeatable naturalizes seem good. Same thing with the Conclave Naturalist. Now, Rex Sage, really, really good. Wood Elves, let's do some ramp. Stampeding Wildebeest and Wood Elves has been my jam since the 2 cards existed. I've been doing that forever because I just love it. Let's get all the forest out. And, Terastodon is, now, we're talking 8 mana to recast here, so I'm thinking that this deck can handle that, to recast a Terastodon every turn, but you still, in addition to doing that, you have to, play stuff from your hand. You have to, further your board presence. So that's going to be maybe a little bit of an issue. Tornado Elemental is just going to clear the skies. Love it. Whip Tongue Hydra. Here again, clearing the skies. Oh, I missed a ramp, dude. Full Razor Regent, which I should have saved for Palladium Moors that I've got coming up in a couple of videos, because this is my last Full Razor Regent. But you can just repeatedly fight things. Fight me, bro. Just every turn. Now, Species Gorger is another bounce a dude during your upkeep. So that's what, a 5th copy? Now, let's look at the Whirlpool guys. Whirlpool Rider comes into play, shuffle your hand in your library, then draw that many cards. So this is just more card draw. We're trying to find that crawler, and I'm thinking just about once we find the crawler, we can win that turn with Whirlpool Rider and, of course, Whirlpool Drake. Now, this doesn't coming and a going, literally. So, what else we got? Skullwinder is enters a battlefield, return target card from graveyard, then choose an opponent. They do the same thing. So, Beast of Burden I have in there just because it's going to be, she counts dudes, he counts dudes. So, there's a token build of Tishana that I'm sure is out there and I'm sure is quite awesome. But, I didn't go that way. Elvish Visionary, Magus of the Bazaar, all about drawing the cards. Same thing with Wall of Blossoms. Wall of Blossoms is probably one of the better things to keep returning to your hand and keep playing to kickstart that engine, if you will. Now, Hydra Omnivore is going to be really good. Now, the reason why I've got Hydra Omnivore in there, we're going to get to in a second. Y'all remember this guy. Now, Avenger of Zendikar, I'm glad, we have this now. Yeah, it makes a lot of dudes, and Tishana counts those. Eon Chronicler is going to draw you some cards, and it's a giant guy, because odds are you've got a fistful of cards anyway. Of course, Cold Eye Selkie, going to draw you a little bit. And Dragon Predator's in there just because he's awesome removal. This guy is nuts. Always loved him. Let's look at the other removal, which, you know, to be honest with you, there's not a lot of. Of course, I'm running Pongify, Snake Form. I count Snake Form as removal because you're probably playing this during combat on a, their attackers or their blockers or whatever. And then Ether Mutation. Now, it is 5 mana, and it's just bounce. But you're bouncing and getting creature tokens. So equal to the CMC of whatever it is you bounce. So that's, and now odds are you're not going to bounce somebody's 2-drop. You're probably going to bounce their, 7-drop or what have you. Got a little bit of counter magic in Negate, Spell Snare, Plasm Catcher, which I really like, and Mystic Genesis, because, dudes and whatnot. Spellbook just as an insurance policy. Teferi's Puzzle Box, here again, keeping that draw engine going, trying to keep drawing. Reclaim, get something back. Simic Charm. This is permanents you control gain hexproof until end of turn. This, yeah, I guess it has 2 other modes, but now, Biomantic Mastery is, now, yeah, it does cost 7 mana. It's a draw spell that costs 7 mana, so it needs to draw you a ton of cards. But odds are we're going to target ourselves as one of the 2 players, so, we're going to be drawing some cards. And if somebody else is playing a Swarm, so maybe somebody else is playing Emma. Don't know. But Fable of Wolf and Owl is just, it is 6 mana enchantment. It does nothing the turn you play. It is probably taking your whole turn, but it makes every spell you play after that so much better. So much better. Now, I had some spots left. I've got 9 cards left. And I thought, well, you know what? I'll show you my thought process. I was like, Follow Footsteps. Follow Footsteps was the first card that popped. Well, maybe not the first card, but I was like, I've got all these creatures. I would love to follow Footsteps in Acidic Slime. Beginning of your upkeep, just get a Acidic Slime. Hey, sign me up for that. And then I was like, well, there are kind of other versions of Followed Footsteps. We've got the Progenitor Mimic. It's going to, as a copy of any creature on the battlefield, except it gains this ability. It's a copy. I'm like, well, that naturally led me to Clone. And of course, if you want to play with Clone, if the deck wants Clone, it probably wants the better Clone, the Stunt Double. And maybe even the conditionally better Clone, Phantasmal Image. The double Clone here, because, it enters as a copy, and then when it dies, it can come back. It'll be a white zombie, but, it'll still be a copy. Now, then I was like, well, I'm already in Simic. Spitting Image is where I want to be. You draw these extra lands after the fact, and you're like, that's what I need, land number 14. And, obviously because we're drawing cards. To recast this and just keep making copies of, Terastodon or Avenger of Zendikar, whatever. It's like, wow. That's, we're getting some value. I was like, well, what about the ultimate copy card? Rite of Replication costs 9 mana. Some people say it costs 4, but, max value. I look at this and I think automatically I need 9 mana. Because in this deck, it's all about evidently making copies of creatures with cool comes into play abilities. Well, that's what led me down the road to the last card. Now, so far, the deck's a little kind of, glass cannon, and it's fairly easy once you get the Psychosis Crawler out there. You're signaling to the world, this is what I'm doing. But I was like, well, with all that copying, Biovisionary, and I've been looking for a deck to put Biovisionary in since I started this, and it's like, well, it's blue-green. It's definitely going to have to be copies. And this deck was running all the copies. The Follow Footsteps on the Biovisionary is beautiful. It's slow. Don't get me wrong. It's slow. But with all the rest of it, if it gets there, it gets there. I mean, if not, it's a 3-mana 2/3 that drew a removal spell out of their hand. Well, that's what I've got for Tishana. I do appreciate y'all watching and commenting and sharing. I appreciate all those things, liking and, appreciate it. It means a lot. It really does. But right now, I think it is time to shuffle and cut.